Take 17. Is your life kinda complicated? Welcome to One Take, the podcast designed to seek wisdom to live simple, healthy, and happy. We'll get there one take at a time. I'm your host, Yezmin Thomas. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of One Take. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's going to be a solo episode. We are going to be talking about a topic that I've been thinking about for some time to be writing about. And what a better way to share my thoughts than putting it together in the form of a podcast. And I'm also writing a post for my blog about this topic. And it is how to live simply better. And that's the theme that's going to be central for the content that I produce for you guys, both on my blog and the podcast. And why... It sounds like a simple topic, but I think that it includes a lot that goes on in our lives. And why do I say this? I remember about 5 or 6 years ago, I wasn't feeling good at work, but I wasn't somebody that would just go home. And later I was telling my husband that maybe I should go see the doctor because of the way I was feeling. You know, I was getting really dizzy and I was feeling like I couldn't breathe, and I never felt that way before. And he told me, it sounds like maybe you were having a panic attack. And at that moment, that even sounded kind of comical. Panic attack, you know, it's one of those things you Google because they might not be real. You know, they might be something people say. But it is true, and I've read other experiences other people have had, and they experience similar situations because of the high stress level that they were in. Back then, I was producing 2 live shows as a television producer, and there was just so much going on, and I was just feeling very, very overwhelmed. And to know that my health was suffering because of all that stress, and to know that more people were going through that. Around the same time, a cousin of mine had to go to the hospital because he was having such a high stress level at his job. He was getting hernias. So, and we are in our mid-30s feeling this way. And I'm thinking, this is not right. We live under so much stress, and we just get into the rat wheel and we get used to living with it. But I don't think it should be that way. And, I've been thinking about that topic. And for that reason, I wanted to put together this podcast and to share with you guys 10 ways to live simply better, happier, healthier. And so let's just get started. Okay. Number 1 on my list, stop the comparisons. Stop comparing yourself to other people, to what other people have, to what other people have achieved, to what other people have planned. And this is so hard. And this is something that New York Times bestselling author Rachel Cruz, she's one of Dave Ramsey's personalities, Dave Ramsey's daughter. She just nailed this topic on her Love Your Life, Not Theirs book. Years ago, we didn't have social media, so it was harder to compare yourself to other people. You would compare the shoes you're wearing. I remember when I was in high school, wearing a Banana Republic shirt, a t-shirt. It was like the in thing. You were it. Or if you had a Gap sweatshirt, that was like, wow, you were it. Now, I grew up in Mexico, so, those brands were not available in Mexico. You had to come here to buy them, or you had to go to the market and buy the stuff that was being brought to Mexico from the USA. But having a Gap t-shirt was the thing, or a Banana Republic. Now, Today, that's like whatever. Now it's like having expensive purses and expensive watches and expensive shoes and all this stuff. So it's really, really hard to keep up. It's very expensive to keep up. But why do we do that? Because back then we didn't even have social media either. So, comparing yourself to others, it was more of a situational thing, what you saw them doing, what you saw them having. To compare yourself, like your vacation and things you were doing, you would have to wait the entire summer to come back to school and then share with your friends. So what do you do in the summer? Where do you go on vacation? What do you buy? This and that, But now it's different. I mean, you have children using cell phones, having access to everything. We have access to almost everybody's life through social media. You know what your friends are doing instantly. They're sharing it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. So social media gives us a great ability to connect. I love being in touch with my friends and family in Mexico, and they post pictures of their children, and I post pictures of my kids, and my parents can be connected and see what we're doing. And I think that's fabulous. However, social media, it's one of those mediums that I know a lot of people love and hate, love and hate, love and hate. I feel the same way because sometimes it's really hard not to compare yourself. I mean, I find myself going into social media and seeing pictures of friends from high school that look fabulous on bikinis at the beach, and they're stay-at-home moms. And then you start wondering, would I look that way if I was a stay-at-home mom? Would I have the time to go to the gym? This and that. And it's just not healthy. Or you see pictures of your best friend, not just at Disney World, but at Tokyo Disneyland. And it's like, how do you not compare yourself when you wish you were on vacation as well? When your vacation might not be a vacation this year, but more of a staycation. And that's hard. I mean, last summer, if you guys have been following my podcasts, last summer, my husband and I decided that this summer we wouldn't travel to save the money to buy him a car outright. And so we've been saving for that. And it's been so hard because we usually do a lot in the summers. I mean, I at least go to Mexico for 2 weeks. Last summer, we went to Mexico, spent 1 week at my parents' hometown, my hometown of Guadalajara, another week in Puerto Vallarta. We went to the beach for a week in Florida. We went to San Antonio and, visited the theme parks. We did a lot. And of course, you spend a lot of money when you do that. So in order for us to save enough money to buy a car outright, we've been saving all this money and we decided not to go on vacation. You can't have it all. And then you start questioning all your decisions. Should we have purchased a car and borrow money so that we could go on vacation and we could just do everything everyone is doing? And it's hard. It's hard when you start comparing yourself. So for that reason, I think we're living less content because we're looking at what other people have. And it's never going to be enough if we do that. Because everyone has a different lifestyle. I mean, you don't know if the person who's posting pictures from their trip to Europe have been saving for a decade or, I don't know, for a long time, the money they need to go on this kind of vacation. We don't know that. Maybe it's on a credit card, but we don't know that. And it's easy to assume that everyone's life is much better than yours when you're comparing yourself to them on social media. And let's be honest, people don't really put the bad stuff that happens to them on their social media feed. Some people, I've seen them post stuff about losing a relative or losing a loved one. And I think that's nice, that you're sharing that too and you're communicating to your friends what's going on in your life. But people don't put pictures of their old shoes or cluttered closets or empty bank accounts, So one thing that should be a priority, at least that I'm trying to make it a priority in my life, to live simply better, it's to stop the comparisons. And that takes me to way number 2 to live simply better. Be grateful. Be grateful and content with what you have. Because the moment that you take the focus of what you have and put it on what you don't have, that's when the problems start. That's when the discontent starts. That's when you start feeling that your life is not as good as others and that you don't have enough. When in reality, if we were just grateful for what we have, I'm telling you, we have more than enough. We have more than enough. There are people that really do not have anything. Every day, I drive to work and same route. There's this homeless people camp. And every day I see them there. And they're sitting and they have their bundles and that's all they have. That's all they have. They don't even have a place to sleep. They're just there on the ground. And when you drive and remember that you have a car and you have a job and you packed your lunch and you have a safe place to come home, your life is pretty good. But yet, when we compare ourselves to others, we take the focus of what we have, we put it on what we don't have, and then we live a life of discontent. So let's take a step back and let's just be grateful. Be grateful for what you have. Stop comparing yourself to others. All right. Way number 3. Stop watching news. I know. I just said that. I spent my entire career working in the news. But we are just consuming way too much negative information. It's available everywhere on TV, on your phones, everywhere on the internet, on social media. It's like, can we please take a break from the bad news? And can we feed ourselves of something more positive? Because it's not like you can do much about it. I understand one should be informed. One should be making wise decisions. You should know your rights. You should know what's going on in your country. You should be aware of what's going on politically so you can make informed decisions. But sometimes life, let me rephrase that. Sometimes what's going on in the news can consume your life. And in all honesty, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to change it. Example, my dad was all concerned about the election of President Trump. What's going to happen, this and that. I mean, every day he would call me. It would be like, so how things are going, how things are happening. And I'm just like, Dad, it's okay. I mean, why would you even worry if you live in Mexico? You can do anything about it. This is consuming your life. You live in Mexico. I am fine. I'm okay. There's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of things being said. But you know what? Yezmin, cannot do anything to change that. And if it's going to consume your life, whether it's politics or issues with the environment, if it's consuming your life and if it's taking you down a hole you cannot come back from, then you need to stop it. You need to remove yourself from the situation because, to be honest, there's way too much information and there has to be a balance. And if you don't take control of the information that you let enter into your mind, you're going to get lost. It's not up to you to change everything. It's up to you to be informed and to make informed decisions. But what's going on, we as individuals, we cannot change it. So if what you're consuming on the news is making you depressed, then you need to turn it off. And you need to turn your attention to information sources that are going to be more positive for you. This takes me to way number 4 to live a simply better life. Find inspirational content. Instead of spending your days watching cable news and people arguing and yelling at each other, why don't you just find a book and read about that topic without all the emotion of people on TV or media, without all the anger from people on social media sharing their points of views that they believe to be the truth, the absolute truth for everyone. Just read a book on the topic. Be informed. How about you listen to podcasts? How about you listen to music? Just make better choices when it comes to the kind of information that you're consuming. When was the last time that you read a book? What was the last book that you read? There's so many fabulous books that fit you and inspire you and empower you. I think more people should be spending more time consuming that kind of information rather than depressing stuff from social media and the news. All right, let's move on. Way number 5, to live simply better. For me, it's so important to connect in person with your friends. I think because of social media, we assume that we are connected with people. And so the people that you used to call on their birthdays, now you just send them an emoji, a text. I think it's taking a toll on relationships because we assume that a simple message is going to do the trick. And I am all guilty about that. And I am trying to make an effort to change that. Just grab the phone, call your brother, call your sister. I mean, when did texting somebody to say happy birthday become acceptable? I don't know when, but that's what everybody does. I mean, rarely somebody grabs the phone, and I am terrible at it. I am telling you, my parents are lucky if I call them, okay? I am terrible at remembering birthdays and calling people. And I know a text or a Facebook message is better than nothing. But we're missing the personal connection with people. And if you want your life to be better, you need to have that back. And you need to spend the time to make that personal connection. Way number 6, to live a simply better life. Be spontaneous. We are always busy and getting all these things done, and we stop having time to be spontaneous. And there's so much joy that can be found in just spontaneous decisions. For instance, the other day, I went to pick up my kids at daycare after work. So I pick them up, and there's a Sonic just around the corner. And I take a different route without telling them. And immediately they're like, "Where are we going?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, we are going to go a different way today." And I pull into the Sonic. And they were so excited. And I was just like, I just took a different route, pulled into Sonic to get some ice cream. And they were so excited and so happy about it, and they're like, "Are we going to eat it before dinner?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're going to eat it before dinner," and that just made their night. And I spent $10 and we had a great time and it was enjoyable. And I just decided that day we're going to do something different. I wasn't feeling like going straight home and laying the hammer on the routine of go get yourselves in the shower and let's go eat dinner and let's go walk the dogs. I just didn't want to do the same thing that we always do. That day, I wanted to be spontaneous. I wanted to surprise them. And it paid off, and it was good, and it was good ice cream, and we had a good time, and they were happy. And I'm like, the little things. You don't have to be spontaneous and take a cruise to the Caribbean if you don't have the money, but it's just those little things. Last week, it was like Thursday night, like 10:30, and I was just like, you know what? Tomorrow I don't have a busy day, and I would love to go for lunch with my friend Patty. So I texted her. I sent her a Facebook message, 10:30. I'm like, I know this is last minute. I should have planned this better. But let me know if you're available for lunch tomorrow and we can meet up. In the morning, we had a plan. She's available. She would love to go. We'll meet at this Italian place awesome. You know, I just decided right then before going to bed that I really wanted to go see my friend, and I knew I was going to have an easy day at work and I was going to be able to take a lunch break. So be spontaneous. It's really when you get out of your way to do things, simple things that are enjoyable, your day turns way better. And not just your day. The build up to the moment where you go do this thing, there's this excitement about going and doing something different other than just driving from work to home to do the same thing you always do. So give yourself the right to be spontaneous. All right. Way number 7 to live simply better. Align your career goals with your personal goals and values. Guys, this is so hard to do because this is not the society that we live in. We live in a society that promotes productivity and work and not quality of life. And so we go to work because we want to make a living, because we want to buy a car and we want to go on vacation and we want to buy a house. So we end up working ourselves day and night, not sometimes, I'm not saying everyone, not always enjoying what we do because we have not aligned our personal values and goals with our career goals. You know, an example of people that want to be on television. And those are the examples I keep bringing back because that's what I've done. So, and I am going to sound very naive, but before I started working on television news, I really did not realize that TV people, they don't take vacation like on the holidays. They're not off. On Christmas, they're not off. On Thanksgiving, they're working. You see them on TV, but until you start working on TV, you realize that working in an industry like that, you're going to spend a lot of the time that was supposed to be spent with your family, you're going to be working. And that's really hard, you know, when you do it year after year after year. I remember my first Christmas that I had to work, I was so depressed because growing up, Christmas was all about being around your family. And here I was at work. My husband was at home with our 2 babies. And it didn't feel like Christmas. It didn't feel special. It was just so depressing. And, you know, as years go by, then you start getting used to working Christmas and working Thanksgiving and working the 4th of July. And those days go from being something you look forward to something that you dread about because they're not special anymore because you have to be at work. So that's one of those examples. You know, maybe your work requires that you work late and you're never able to see your kids because they go to school during the day. So if you're home during the day, you'll never see your kids. And then you're working until late. So you end up seeing your kids Saturdays and Sundays. Or, you know, maybe you travel a lot and you're never home. And so you got this job so you could provide for your family, but then you're providing, but your family is not really enjoying it with you. And so it kind of defeats the purpose. So if you're trapped in a situation where you feel like, yes, you have a job, and I'm not saying you need to go quit your job, you know, I'm just saying be aware that as long as your personal goals don't align with your career goals or your job demands, it's going to be really hard for you to live simple and to live happy and to be content because you're going one way with your career and your personal life is going the opposite way. And if you can be aware of that and start thinking about ways to bringing those two roads to merge together, you're going to find a lot more satisfaction. Moving on. Way number 8 to live simply better. This one is, I didn't know this was going to be so hard, but sleep more. Research shows that nobody sleeps enough other than babies. None of us sleep enough. I mean, if you are a parent, you know you've not had 8 straight hours of sleep consistently ever since your kids were born. And if you are a newly parent, forget about it. It's going to take many more years. But it's such a simple thing, but it's so hard to get enough sleep. And there's been a lot of research and books lately written about this topic on how lack of sleep affects your satisfaction levels, your happiness levels. It even affects your weight. I mean, there are so many things that are affected by sleep. But yet, so many people promote in this productivity mindset that you do all the things that you need to get done regardless of you getting any sleep. So it's like, which one do you choose? The one where you sacrifice your sleep to get more done, or the one where you prioritize your sleep? And I think this one, it's really hard to do, because even if you want to prioritize it, to be honest with you guys, there are not enough hours on the day to do everything you need to get done, get enough sleep, take care of your families, go to work, do the laundry, grocery shopping, and all that stuff. But if we can at least be aware of it, if we can at least add a half an hour of sleep every night, at the end of the year, it makes an impact. So think about changing small things, small habits that may allow you to have an extra 15, 20, 30 minutes of sleep every night. And ultimately, my personal goal would be to sleep at least 8 hours a night. That doesn't happen unless it's a weekend when we don't have any games or children activities. But on average, I think my sleep ranges between 6 to 7 hours, and that's not counting quality sleep time. Now everyone has Fitbits and all those devices, and it's scary to see the amount of hours that you're sleeping, the rest that you're actually getting. It's pretty scary. But that's something to be aware of. If you can sleep more, your life will be better. Believe me. Way number 9 to live simply better. Get rid of stuff. Just get rid of stuff. We have so much stuff. Our stuff owns us. And sometimes it's hard to move because of so much of stuff that we have that we don't even need. I mean, just look into our closets. Closets are packed. Shoes, dresses, sweaters, jackets. We have way too much stuff. And I think the clutter is symbolic too. When you have way too many things in your house, I think it's kind of a reflection of what your life is like. And it may be weighing you down, having all kinds of stuff and no system of control and organization, and things just keep piling up. And at some point, you're going to be feeling like, what am I doing with all this stuff? So my advice, I've done it and it's made me feel really good. And the more I do it, the more I want to keep doing it. Just get rid of stuff. Going there, about a year and a half ago, we moved into our present house, and I probably gave away half of my closet. I gave away probably 50 pairs of shoes. I didn't even use them. I mean, they had been sitting there forever, but for some reason I thought I was going to use them sometime. They were the perfect pair of shoes for the perfect outfit that I hadn't worn in too many years. So I just decided to pack a few suitcases and trash bags, and they went to the Goodwill. And I've never missed them. I don't miss that. And what I try to do when I do buy something new, I get rid of something. And I've been trying to be very diligent in the last few years with the stuff that I buy, especially clothes, because you can have so much. And to be honest, Monday through Friday, you wear the same kind of clothes because you go to work. So in reality, the clothes that you really want to wear are those you use on the weekends. And on the weekends, the last thing I want to do is dress up. So I'm wearing shorts and t-shirts, more like sports clothes. So what's the point of buying all these clothes that I know I'm not really going to end up using very much? So my advice to you, get rid of stuff. Get rid of stuff in the kitchen, in the bathrooms. Man, we had so many blankets in this house. I got rid of like half of them. And I got rid of a bunch of glassware and dishware from the kitchen because we just had a lot. We didn't need all that stuff, but yet we had it. So I'm not saying that everything here is spotless. There's many projects that I have yet to find the time to do. But I just realized that we don't need all these things and we need to give them away. And maybe somebody else needs them. So take them to a place where they can be useful for people that don't have enough clothes, or to a charity. And that way you're getting rid of stuff, you're making your life simpler, and you're helping somebody else. All right, to wrap this up, get out of debt. Get out of debt, guys. If you've been listening to me, you know that I do not like debt. I don't have a credit card. I don't have any consumer debt. I have my house to pay, and I cannot stand debt. And there's always a story behind that. And I'm going to get into that some other day. I just realize that debt can make your life so complicated. So complicated. It drags you down, really, if you think about it. I mean, I remember when we bought my car, it was a $300 payment for 5 years. And for some reason, I don't know, these are the things that I don't know if you get them through TV or how do you get these thoughts in your mind. But for some reason, I thought that when you're done paying your car is probably going to break and it's going to be done and you're going to need to buy another car. So if that was the case, that means that you'll spend your entire life financing vehicles, spending your money on vehicles. And that's a lot of money. And the time arrived when we paid off my car, and you know that paper from the bank comes in the mail saying that now you own the car outright, that the debt has been settled. Yeah, 5 years later, right? And I thought, okay, well, I hope I'm going to take good care of it because I don't want it to break. I don't want to, have another car payment. And then my husband's note came in like 6 months later. So we were done paying our cars. We kept driving them. And suddenly all this money was accumulating because we didn't have any car payments. And that felt really good. And I realized that this idea that people have that you have to be changing your car every 2 years and that, all cars are junk cars. I mean, I understand that you have to drive reliable cars, and I see that, and I'm okay, totally okay. But this idea that because you drive an older car, it's not going to work, or it's going to break, or it's not going to take you anywhere. I don't know how, but I believe we've been fed all these baloney throughout years and years. And no more. So since we paid off those 2 cars, we have not had a car payment. Last year, we bought my car for cash. It was hard. saving the money, committing to it, convincing my husband. But it's like we don't have payments. I mean, we have, of course, you have your bills that you have to pay, your gas, your water, and your mortgage and this and that. But those are there anyway. It's not debt. It's a service that you are paying for. And not having debt, it makes me feel so much better. It makes me feel so much relaxed. It helps me save money. And having money gives you options. Having debt limits your options. So there are people that have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt between cars, credit cards, student loans, and I could only imagine how hard it would be to plan ahead. If you've not noticed, I am a planner. How can you plan your next 10 years if all your money is tied up in those payments? And you can get rid of them. I mean, of course, you can default on your credit card payments and they're going to come back hunting you down. You can default on your car payments and they're going to repo the Toyota Sequoia that they repoed the other day in my neighborhood. They're going to come take it. You can, if you do not pay your student loans, you're not going to get rid of them. You have to pay them. And so now your plans of buying a house are going to have to be put on hold because you owe so much money on student loans that you can't afford it. So having debt limits you. It makes your life more complicated because here happens a layoff. How are you going to make all these payments if you don't have any money? And if you're financing everything, maybe in the first place you couldn't afford it. So you're already making your life very, very complicated. So get out of debt. If you want to have a simply better life, get out of debt, save money, pay whatever you want to buy for with cash. Just pay it outright. Own it. Be the owner. Be proud of it. And if you follow the steps, if you stop the comparisons, if you're grateful for what you have, if you stop seeing what other people have and wanting to compete with them and catch up with them, then you're going to be fine. Your life is going to be so much better. You're not going to need to get in debt to buy a Coach purse that you're going to be paying for the next 10 years because your credit cards are maxed out. You can do it. It's hard. It's hard because some people have it and you don't have it. But you know what? It's just stuff. It's not going to matter 6 months from now. I mean, I have bought shoes that I really loved and they're not laying in the closet because turns out they were not comfortable. Purses. Oh, I love this purse. After 3 weeks of using it, it just becomes another purse. So things lose their charm quickly. And if you bought them for cash, that's okay. But if you're financing them and they're not even something you care about now, it's just going to be hard to pay it off because you don't care about it anymore. But yet, you owe it and you have to pay it off. So, get out of debt, my friends. I am a debt-free style supporter, and that's going to be part of one of the core topics of my blog and my podcast. Personal finance, living debt-free, being content with what you have, stopping the comparisons, saving for your future, planning for your future, planning for your children's future. Because all of that will make a life much better, less complicated. Try it, my friends. Okay, that's all I have for you today. Now, I need to ask you for a favor. Have you left me a review on iTunes? Why not? I ask you guys every single time, please leave me a review. Whether you like this or not, because if you don't like it, I need that review because I want to make this better. But I can make it better if you don't tell me. So if you have, it just takes less than a minute. Go ahead, go on iTunes. You click the picture of the podcast and then you can leave a review. And then once you've left a review, if you've not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of these episodes. I also want to invite you to subscribe to get my blog feeds. You can go to yezminthomas.com. That's YEZMINTHOMAS.com. You can subscribe so that you can receive every single post right as soon as it's published. And I need to ask you too, if you're enjoying this content, if it's being helpful, if it's giving you hope, and if it's entertaining you, and if it's giving you some positive feed for your soul and your mind, share it, please. Share it with a friend. Tell them to ask them to tune in, ask them to go on my website, sign up, read the stuff that I have there. And I also would like to ask you if there are specific topics that you would like to know about, that you would like me to talk about, send me an email. You can do it by using my podcast email, which is podcast@yezminthomas.com, or you can go on my website, yezminthomas.com, and you can fill in the form to give me some feedback. I'm also going to be answering your questions about personal finance, consumer rights, money, life. So if you have a question, if you have a concern, make sure you share it with me. Like I always tell you guys, I am not an expert. I am a reporter. I love to find answers for your questions. So if you have a particular question about personal finance, consumer rights, or anything that you may think I can help you with, make sure you shoot me an email. I would be happy to look for the answer and share it with everyone, okay? And also, guys, connect on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and Instagram. Those are the 4 social media platforms that I have committed to maintain because there's so many. But you can find me of any of those. All right, guys, that's all I have for you. I hope this is going to give you a roadmap to living simply better. And until next time, remember, just keep it simple. I'll talk to you guys on the next take.